When a woman is expecting, they normally go for a scan to check the baby's health. In some instances, they also go for scans to check the sex of the baby.
We're changing, we're getting ready for class. A good warm-up is very important so we don't come back with injuries and things. Besides this knee, there's an old injury.
Any comfortable position, laying down, and continue to breathe. And now in your own time, just for now, just imagine moving any body part. So every morning before we start working, we have classes, warm-up classes, whereby every day each person in the company gets a chance to teach. And as it's moving, really feel where the movement is coming from, the muscles being used to move that part. What kind of movement is it? Is it soft? Is it fast? Is it slow? Is it circular movement? Really try and make a picture in your head and see how that body part is moving. And feel the movement coming from within. So it's not just, for example, the arm or the leg or the wrist that's moving, but think of it as the movement is coming from within your body, from the inside, moving out. Listening and paying attention to how your body wants to move and not you moving your body. Where is that movement taking you? Does it remain where it is, in the same place? Or is it moving? In your own time, if you are ready to make contact, physical contact with anyone, you can do so in your own time. If you're not, you don't have to respond to the contact. I started learning sign language when I started working with Andile. We've been working together for quite a long time, about 10 years. So working with him every day and also being friends with him, always being in the same space with him, that is how I learned sign language, and yeah. I started dancing when I was young as a hobby, and then a few years later, I started dancing when I was 11. In 2006, I was introduced to another integrated dance company here in Cape Town, and I went to watch their performances. And I found the work that they do quite interesting because it's something I never saw before. It was more about the bodies moving together in space. What I would wish for my unborn child would be to be comfortable, to be safe, and also to be fine with themselves in their own space within the womb. What we had this morning was an improvisational class. So where it was just dance, it was not a structured sort of combination or routine dance.
You are the goddess of this nation. Whatever that's about to happen, you already know. So, uphepha wakho is like, this is nothing. I knew this was coming. First and foremost, Unmute is not a disability company. Unmute is an integration company. Our focus is not on disability because all of us, there is something that we struggle with. So all of us, in some way, we have that disability somewhere in our life. So we're not focusing on disability, we're focusing on ability. We're saying we're all unique, we all have different abilities. Let's work with that. Let me learn from your ability, and you must learn from my ability. So we're really about integration. Like, boom, passes, because you already know. You know exactly what's going to happen in this world.
Okay.
So no matrix falls.
Okay. Kabasha. Bavuse. Amba. Phakama.
So what you see is the continuation of that, because the people who were involved in Remix then decided to come together and form Unmute the production. Initially, the focus was not on creating a company. The focus was on continuing with the work of integration. So from there, it came the company, because the Unmute production did so well that we had to continue the work that we started. I think the 10 was somewhere down here.
Yes.
So now you're no longer going there, you're just doing this.
Oh, there?
Yes.
Okay.
Movements start from the womb, I believe. Like being pregnant and you hear the baby move like for the first time, and you just enjoying that because you know that there's life growing inside you. But we don't take notice of the fact that that is where the dance starts. That is when the life begins, like the life of dance. And each and every kick that the baby does in the womb, it touches you because you're the only one who can feel it, until someone else comes and put their hand and they get to be in your world and hear what you feel.
I think that's where life has already begun. You know, even though we see when we only start experiencing or would think sometimes that a baby's life begins after it's born, but in fact it's already started inside of you. Those little movements, those kicks, the baby moving inside of you, there's life there already. The only difference is you feel that life. You don't see it yet. You connect with it in a different way. You connect with it emotionally and from within, you know, before that physical touch. So that life is there. It's just not in the outside world yet.
What is it that we're doing here? Am I just doing it because it's choreography, or what does it mean to me? What does it mean to this relationship that we have together here?
I think that's where life has already begun, you know, even though we see when we only start experiencing or would think sometimes that a baby's life begins after it's born, but in fact it's already started inside of you. Those little movements, those kicks, the baby moving inside of you, there's life there already. The only difference is you feel that life. You don't see it yet. You connect with it in a different way. You connect with it emotionally and from within, you know, before that physical touch. So that life is there. It's just not in the outside world yet.
Let's see this disconnection. Boom.
Beginning of 2015, I then joined Unmute Dance Company, and I've been here ever since.
Well, I've been trained in a very sort of technical or classical forms of dance, and so joining Unmute because of the different kinds of body we have in the company. Art as a form of healing it's definitely a way for someone to let things out, to get whatever is inside out. I think art encompasses your whole life. It's not only just when you get into the theater or when you're in a studio. I think it's a 24/7 thing in your mind, in your heart, in your body. And so I think that art really does allow one to be free and to let all emotions out, whether it be through dance or music or art. It definitely is a way for someone to channel feelings through those mediums.
Thanks, dancing with Unmute, and we're doing like disabled things for people who think mense wat dink hulle kan dit nie maak nie. Wel ons moet net vir hulle wys, die manier hoe opgegee man, glo aan dit en sal dit verder vat. Soos ek kan gesê het, back in the days, net soos my storie is, dat mense gesê het, ek gaan dit kan maak, ek kan doen nie. Toe het ek my mind op hulle gesit, ek het af van hulle afgehaal en beglo in myself, ek gaan dit doen. And that's why I'm doing dance with Unmute to show people disabled like me. You don't have to sit in your house watching TV or stuff like that. You can do something with your hands, maybe like Nadine, you see. You can do something with your hands, you can do something with your feet. You must just believe in what you're doing, and practice make perfect, you see.
We need lots of integration programs in the community. I've got to really broaden my mind in terms of play, in terms of improv, in terms of thinking of new ways of dancing, of moving, of creating, of telling stories. And so that has really given me a new way of thinking and has really taught me to think out of the box always. It doesn't, even if it's just something small, even if it's just a theatre piece or a corporate gig, it's always to really try and do something different, and that it's not hard. It's not hard to change it up a bit. It's okay.
So don't turn with your hands caged. As you see that we are rehearsing, busy preparing for ESHT, the tour that we have for Switzerland. The work got invited by a platform called Intergrat. So Intergrat, it's a collaboration of festivals in different cities in Switzerland. So you're holding this, yes, not both turns, the second turns, yes. Now you're holding this arm, you like,
Oh, okay, sorry, it's going one, this one.
play with it on the floor. If it means that in the process, there's all these things of turning and coming up and going up and shooting there, so that there is this thing that is happening there before you come, because it's too simple.
Okay. It's when I started with Unmute, I found it a lot easier dancing with Andile at first, because I didn't have any experience of integrated work. So Andile and I developed, and we understand each other's body, and also because I've trained in a lot of contact improv, and so another able body next to me, it's easier to work with.
Okay. Kabasha. Bavuse.
Oh, nice. Wow.
I wish all the schools could have a sign language class, because I think it is really important. Even me, when I'm here, I learn like every day from Nadine and Andile when they do sign language, and I so wish that I had an opportunity back from school, like yeah,
There.
yeah, sure. And I also believe that even them, they wish they could communicate with us easily like that.
But instead, they use them to take ones.
You are a strong woman. Get on your feet. Get on your feet. and fight and fight for yourself. With all the chaos, with all the mess that is happening, stay strong.
I wouldn't say that I had to learn patience when started using a wheelchair, because it's something that I've always known, because I started using a wheelchair when I was quite young, so I don't remember much about, well, in fact anything before then. I don't remember walking, so all my life I've known what it is to have a chair and how to use a wheelchair. However, I would say that I've had to learn how to be patient with my surroundings, because we live in a world where things have not been made accessible or accommodative for people like us, people with wheelchairs or people with any other disability. So I'll say that I've never had to learn to be patient with my chair. I've had to learn to be patient with my surroundings. I'll help you, because I can also feel where it's going.
Okay.
Man, you need to get a driver's license. Esht was inspired by the live statues of Pompeii, because people were buried by a volcano. So we're using that as a concept to address what's happening in the country for the past 23 years of democracy. So what we're saying is some of us, we are buried in ashes. So how do we rise from this brutal history that we had of apartheid into new beings in this new society? So how do we break away from that mold of the past to live today? Because we keep repeating the same mistakes of the past. Hence, there is xenophobic attacks. There is policemen killing people in the Marikana. So we keep repeating the same mistakes of the past. So with ASHT, we are really asking questions. How can we rise from the ashes of the past into new beings?
Performing in ASHT was a good experience. It was a learning experience. It was also very, very challenging and also a wonderful experience at the same time, because we had to work with movement and also incorporate statues within the piece. So that was a very interesting and wonderful experience for us, because we then also had to do research, and we also then had to learn how to work with the statues and dance with the statues in space.
It's a piece about the volcanic eruptions that happened in Pompeii, Italy, and people were buried underneath and found years later, and from that we converted it into South African context, so playing with the images. So for example, this guy behind me, we call him Stan. So he was one of the people that was burnt, covered like this. So how do we convert that into South African context, where sometimes we don't see what is happening around us, or we choose not to see what is happening around us and in South Africa, basically.
I'm a vocalist, but at the same time, I'm a vocalist in a character that is like a god in the production. So I tell people what to do. I know everything that has happened in that world, and I know what's gonna happen. So I am like ruling the production. I am like the god, and yeah, that's my role.
How I would describe dance as a form of healing. Because we use our bodies to move and to tell stories, whether it's our own stories or stories from other people or things we see or experience through daily life. I think with dance, it is some sort of healing, because we are able to use our bodies. We are able to use our bodies to move and tell those stories through movement and with our bodies. And it does, I would say it does bring some sort of healing in some way.
Unmute Dance production. The production was a concept that was based around Andile Velem. Andile Velem is he's deaf. He can only maybe hear 2%, so he uses sign language to communicate. So the whole production was based around him on how he can unmute, because people, when they see someone who is deaf, they tend to think that that person, they cannot communicate, they cannot voice out what they feel, what they like, who they are. So with Unmute, we're really unmuting that, unmuting the stereotypes of disability, unmuting what people think disability is, unmuting the stereotypes of dance also. Because of society has stigmatized disability, and most parents, they feel ashamed to take their kids to public spaces. Sometimes it's not even feeling ashamed, it's because there's not enough access or accessibility for their kids to be part of the mainstream society. So my advice to parents with kids living with a disability is that they shouldn't lock their kids inside houses. They should find ways on how their kids, they can integrate with the society. They should involve their kids in activities. They should challenge the society to think about accessibility. They should take their kids to clubs, to community youth clubs, to community youth groups, because once they are there, they cannot be chased away. Once they are there, we can learn more about disability, we can learn more about each other, we can learn more about integration, and we can accommodate each other more. So let's not lock each other behind closed doors. Let's give them an opportunity to exist with other people. Don't lock them inside closed doors.
Every journey starts within the womb.